So if you are about to start a regime which you wanted to embark on for a long time, it could be a monk mode, for example, or if you are in one right now, then this video will be great for you, I would say. It's something that I have just realized myself, and it's something that you have to be careful of. And an example of a regime, if you don't know what I am talking about, it could be, for example, that you will stop playing video games altogether. You won't use or you won't watch any useless videos in your free time. Instead of that, you will do something that's actually productive. You won't eat any food which is actually, let me give specific example, you won't eat any sugars, so no sweets, no candies. Then you won't eat any pastry, so a low carb diet as well, and something like that. Basically, you have a regime that you don't want to eat all the instant gratification foods which are actually harmful for you. You don't want to do all the instant gratification habits and so on. And that's a wonderful thing. You should definitely go on to that. But actually, I would think that it should be a normal lifestyle. Like, why would we think about not playing games as something that's done only in a regime, when playing games is something we just shouldn't be doing in our normal daily lives? But that's a different topic. Right now, I want to discuss that once you are on a regime and you stop doing certain habits, you have to think about what will you substitute those habits with. Because if you stop doing certain habits, you will create those blank time blocks which aren't filled with any sort of activity. And that's something you just don't want to do. Because if you have instant gratification habits, it could be, for example, fapping. If you don't want to be doing that, and you have free time blocks which aren't filled with anything, then there is a high chance you will relapse during those time blocks. So what you have to do is to create a substitution habit, something that will basically substitute the habit which you have just deleted from your routine. And that way you will be able to take care of having the trouble of doing the bad habits which you don't want to be doing just because you have that free time which isn't filled with anything. And also, what you have to be careful of is that not only you can start doing the bad habits which you don't want to be doing just because you have that free time, but also you can create new ones. And new ones, it could also actually be connected to the good ones which you want to be doing. So let me explain. Actually, from my own example, since I am on a strict diet, on a regime, I have so much free time which I want to fill with learning, with reading books and all that kind of stuff. But sometimes it's just impossible and you just want to exist, basically do nothing and just sit around and enjoy the beautiful view like right now, for example. It's just fabulous, bro. And when you don't do anything, there is also the risk of you starting doing something that you don't want to be doing, as I explained. But if you are really strict with your regime and you have such a strong willpower that you won't do those bad habits, even though you have your time which isn't filled with anything, then one thing can actually happen as well. And that's that you will basically start or create a bad habit out of a good one. So for example, I mean, I'm not saying that eating is a good habit, but if you have a good diet, then in that case it's not a bad habit, right? We have to eat to survive. But at the same time, if you start overeating, that's a bad thing. And so that will actually become a bad habit, which you don't want to create. And so if you have that free time block, and that's what happened to me. I started feeling that free time that I wasn't sure what to do in, and I was just existing, but sometimes you will just end up doing something, basically, because boredom is the worst possible thing which you can feel as a human. That's why all the instant gratification habits are so great, because you can do them right away to get a dopamine hit, basically. And so for me, I started feeling those boredom times with eating. And I always got super hungry for some reason. I don't know why that happened. And I always started to search for food. I wanted to eat something. And I still have a strict diet, which I am on right now. And so I wasn't eating any bullshit, but still I was eating when I basically didn't need to eat. And so I started eating when I had the free time. I was just bored. Another thing which can happen, and I'm not sure if it's so bad, but still I want to mention it, is that, for example, if you will have the as a rule that you will read books throughout your free time, like all the time, even if it will be, for example, 8 hours in your day, you will read books basically. And that's what I have as a plan, that I want to study, I want to learn, watch podcasts, learn basically all the time when I have free time on my hands. And what that can happen is that your like dopamine baseline will drop, and so you will be able to do the, like you could say, less enjoyable things now more, because you enjoy them more since you aren't doing all the high on dopamine habits. And so in that case you will enjoy, for example, reading books much more. But what that can create is that you will go for or read books when you don't have to, or when you not don't have to, but when you actually have to do something else. And that's practically that you will basically procrastinate by reading books. That's kind of a good thing when you think about it, because instead of procrastinating with watching dopamine videos, you procrastinate with reading books. It's a wonderful thing, but at the same time it's actually not. Because think about it, if you have more important task ahead of you and you know you have to finish it because it's like the main or the core of your success, you could say. For me it's recording this video, for example, or preparing a short script for any kind of future video that I want to do, and it's actually more important than reading books. And so what I started doing is, bro, look at this view, man. So what I started doing is that I started procrastinating with reading books, because it became like a norm for me to read almost throughout the whole day. And so instead of getting up from my chair and putting the book down, I would read for hours instead of going into my room and, I don't know, scripting a video or brainstorming new ideas or recording, basically. That's like the most important task for me as a YouTuber. And so you have to be careful of all those things, as I mentioned. It's something that I haven't really heard anyone talk about, so I wanted to mention this. It's a very important thing. Just to summarize, when you are about to go onto a regime or you are already in one, then you have to take this into consideration, that you will create free time blocks. If you won't fill them up with any sort of activity, or even if you will, there is a high chance that sometimes you will end up not doing those things because we are humans and sometimes we just want to exist. Then you have to be careful of not creating new habits to fill those gaps up. And of course those habits could also be good ones, so in that case it's not that complicated or bad in a sense. But if you will fill those gaps up with something or with habits which are bad, then for sure that's something you want to avoid at all costs. And be careful of creating good habits or for transforming good habits into bad ones, because we know that sometimes extremes are bad, as well as like the lows are bad for us. Most of the time we as humans, we just have to find a balance between. And so if you read all the time, that can actually turn out to be bad, as I mentioned, because you will procrastinate the tasks which are actually more important. So you can't forget this point. And so I just had to make this video. Hopefully it was valuable for you. And if you have any questions, you can comment something down below. That way I will answer your question, as well as you will boost the algorithm, so we both will get something in return. And I will be super grateful for that. And also, if you are interested and you want to learn something else, then you can watch this video next. Whilst you are about to click the video, you can enjoy this wonderful view. What are you waiting for, bro? Click on this video.